there are going to be some freshmen that become all-American threats. Cornell fans are as excited as ever for the return to NCAA wrestling. I mean, Cornell fans are just absolutely psyched. I've been getting messages back and forth, just talk about Cornell, talk about Cornell, talk about Cornell. And I understand why, because we haven't seen like a true amazing Cornell team in a couple years. And now with Yanni back, with Vito back, with Darmstadt back, with all these guys now competing, with all these freshman incomers, like this is going to be such a exciting year for Cornell. So I have 5 bold predictions for you about what I think could happen to Cornell for this upcoming season. The first thing, and I'm going to start off a little bit negative. I know typically I like to keep things as positive as I can, but it's prediction. Might not come true, and I'd love for Cornell fans, come at me if you disagree. Come at me if you disagree. I don't think that Cornell makes the National Duels finals bracket. The National Duels are happening in December when there are 12 teams that are invited. And these are the 12 teams that I have here listed on this graphic: Arizona State, Central Michigan, Cornell, Hofstra. So I'm not going to read the whole list, but Penn State, Iowa. It's a tough group of teams. And initially on the first day, the teams are divided into the 4 pools, and then the winners of those pools make a bracket on day 2, a 4-man finals bracket. And here's why I don't think that Cornell will make the finals bracket: is your top teams in the National Collegiate Duels are Iowa, Penn State, Arizona State, NC State, Mizzou, Virginia Tech, Cornell. I would include in that. But with those teams, do you think Cornell can beat the top 4? I'll tell you now, I don't think they're beating Penn State, and they're not beating Penn State. They're not beating Iowa. They're not, and I don't think they could beat Mizzou either. But they could pull an upset against NC State, Arizona State, Virginia Tech. I think that's very possible to happen. It'd be like a 15-15 duel. Like the score would be insanely close, and I don't necessarily know that they pull it off. But let's go into some of the positives. So some of the positives, I think Cornell goes undefeated in 2022. Well, Josiah, you just said that they weren't going to win or make the National Collegiate Duels bracket. Okay, 2022. That's 2021. 2021 is in December. 2022 starts anew in January. And after the National Collegiate Duels, the regular season starts. And after the regular season starts, off against Lehigh on January 8th, and then they go into Princeton later in the season. Like, I think it's possible, especially if they get that first dual meet win of the year against Lehigh. I think they plow through the rest of the year and go undefeated, which would be 11 dual meet wins. And yeah, I'm psyched to see what happened. And even if they finish off against Wisconsin, which it will be a tough Big Ten duel, but not an impossible one to win for Cornell. If they go undefeated, 11 straight wins, could be an exciting year. Freshmen, this is my third prediction. So the first one is that Cornell doesn't make the duels bracket. The second one is Cornell goes undefeated. The third one is that I think there are going to be some freshmen that become all-American threats, like complete all-American threats. I think it's absolutely possible that could happen. Now, Diakomihalis posted this photo on Instagram with the caption, 20-year-old freshman. And there are a couple of the freshmen there. And it's true because we haven't seen a lot of the new Cornell guys in the lineup, which because of everything that's happened, you know, like 2019, maybe they were incomers or these guys were just finishing high school. 2020, a lot of the guys took an Olympic redshirt year. And with Cornell also, there's the gray shirt year because they can't take a red shirt because of Ivy League rules. And then there's last year, of course, with the extra year of eligibility. So a lot of and Cornell actually didn't even wrestle last year. So we haven't seen a lot of these freshmen. But what people are forgetting is that Cornell had a top 5 ranked recruiting class of 2020 by Flow Wrestling. Match that with a couple of their recent other classes where guys either took a gray shirt and wrestled that year, or just we haven't even seen them on the map, but they were tough. And there's a lot to be excited about with Cornell. Now, technically, like Foca and Fernandez and Saunders, those guys aren't freshmen, they're sophomores. But there's a lot to be intrigued about. In the class of 2020 with Diakomihalis, which, yes, that's Yanni's younger brother, Josh Saunders, Cole Hanlovic. Greg was actually a 5-time New York State champion, top 40 in the class of 2020. And actually what was interesting is there are only, I think, I want to say 4, maybe 5-time New York State champions. 2 of them are in the NCAA now, which are Corey Teamer and Greg Diakomihalis. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Watching Greg jump in there with his brother Yanni, making an impact in college wrestling for Cornell. Josh Saunders out of Missouri, top 10 in the class of 2020, and he's a guy who a lot of people have considered to be title threat coming into his freshman year. Now, to be honest, there aren't many people I would consider a title threat. I've just seen these message board forums, other ranking saying he could be a title threat one day. Maybe that happens. As a freshman, it's pretty tough. Spencer Lee, yeah, I did consider him a title threat his freshman year. Gable Stevenson, even though he wasn't then as good as he is now, he was a title threat. Yanni, yeah, he was somebody coming in as an exciting guy to watch, title threat. Cole Hanlovic out of Bethlehem, or out of Becca, PA. Julian Ramirez, the Florida State champion, actually had a pretty good gray shirt year where he was 23-6 in that gray shirt year. Chris Foca out of New Jersey. So let's talk about some of these New Jersey guys coming into Cornell, taking over the scene. Already top 15 by Intermat, and that's because he had a pretty good gray shirt year. He had a pretty good freshman year. When he was 21-3, his only losses coming to a couple of All-Americans, and Bullard of NC State, Starachi of Penn State, and then Neil Richards, who out of VMI was potentially an All-American threat had he been able to finish the 2020 season. And out of Bergen Catholic, the New Jersey State champ, I think will be somebody to watch, and is another one of these threats for Cornell as a freshman. And he's already a top 15 threat. Luis Fernandez of New Jersey, another New Jersey State champion, also had a pretty good red shirt year, or gray shirt year, 26-4 with wins over Harvard's heavyweight Slavkowski. I can never pronounce his name right, but he did have that loss to Kirkley. But still, so it was a decision loss, and I think that with these guys, they can be serious All-American threats, at least a couple of them. So what's my 4th prediction for Cornell? I think Yanni bonuses his way to the NCAA championships. I think he bonuses his way through the tournament. He hasn't been known for, or not through the tournament, excuse me, to the tournament, okay? Yanni hasn't been known for as much as Spencer Lee and Gable Stevenson as far as bonusing his way through the NCAA season, okay? So he hasn't necessarily been known as much as they have, but he's still have you seen Yanni wrestle? He could score some points. Have you seen him step onto the mat? No, you haven't seen him in college wrestling in over 900 days. That's the last time he stepped on a college wrestling mat. But still, I think that he has the potential to actually bonus his way to NCAAs. And if he does bonus his way through the tournament or to the tournament, he'll be a Hodge Trophy contender. He will be anyways, with the potential 3rd national title on the way. I think what we're going to see out of Yanni this year is, unfortunately, he didn't accomplish his goals that he wanted to over the past couple years. And I don't want to speak out of turn or speak for him, but he didn't win the Olympic gold medal. He didn't make the Olympic team. He didn't win a world championship. He didn't get to where he wanted, when we know that these are his goals. He's stated these. He's talked about them. That's what he wants to do. That's where he believes he is, and I believe that he is on that level. But I think you're going to see Yanni come back and approach college wrestling with a whole new approach, because he's thinking on an international level, right? Guys like Spencer Lee, Gable Stevenson, they're thinking on the international level. And I think when they come back and party with the college kids, it's a whole different guy that we're going to see. His toughest matches we're going to see are probably going to be at the National Collegiate Duels, before NCAAs, I'm talking, in December, so early on in the season, when he could wrestle Tariq Wilson, Max Murin, Bryce Andonian, Brock Mahler, all at the National Collegiate Duels. It's possible that he wrestles those guys, and I don't necessarily know that he can bonus them, so we'll see what happens. Well, maybe he can, maybe we'll see. So the next prediction I have for Cornell is that they finish the season with 4 All-Americans. Yanni, I think, is a lock. Vito, right here in this graphic, I think he's a lock. Ben Darmstadt, who I haven't even mentioned yet, the other All-American from Cornell already, who is an All-American in his freshman year, plays sixth. I think he's also a guy who's locked in. And the fourth person remains. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Chris Fanco? Is it going to be great Diakomihalis? Is he going to step in and do something big and exciting? Could it be Josh Saunders? Who's that fourth guy going to be for Cornell? And my bonus kind of, like, I give you my 5 prediction, but my bonus is I actually think that Cornell can have 2 finalists this year between a couple of those guys. Yeah, I think Yanni's kind of locked in, but it's possible that Vito gets in the finals or Darmstadt. Like, I really do think that Cornell can be that exciting top 5 contending national team with all these All-Americans. And my biggest prediction for the upcoming year, to be honest with you, like, my biggest prediction for this upcoming year is that it's going to be one heck of a comeback year for Cornell, and fans are going to be psyched. And if you're looking for rankings for every single conference before the season gets here, you're going to want to check out this resource right here. This will take you to a page where you can download my Fanco Wrestling rankings for free. That's all 78 D1 teams, every single conference, whether you support Big Ten, Pac-12, ACC, you're going to get little tidbits of information and the rankings you need to know before the season gets here. You can check that out for free right here.